Hi there, neighbors. I hope you don't mind this new video. This is another video by Eminent Hero, me, the dude you're listening to, this guy. This is Underappreciated Cards, Part 3. I have selected yet again another 10 cards for this video. Let's get started. Alright, let me zoom in. Alright, card number 1, maximum 6. He's a level 6 Earth Warrior, 1900 attack, 1600 defense. His effect is, when he is tribute summoned, you roll a six-sided die. His attack is increased by the result of the dice roll times 200. The lowest he can gain is 200. The highest is 12. So his max attack is 31. Now, he is not entirely bad. It's just that he has the potential to be a strong 1 tribute monster. Max attack 31 with only 1 tribute. He outmatches Blue Eyes by 100 attack at his max with 1 less tribute. Now, this guy is basically you taking a gamble, but at least his attack at the minimum will be at least 2100 for a 1 tribute. Being that he's a warrior, he has a lot of potential combos that can go along with him. You can give him further attack with A-Forces, Solidarity, Command Knight, Conrad Swordsman of Landstar, Gauntlet Warrior. He is further supported by cards that support warriors in general, like spells and traps, like Desperate Tag. Well, not Desperate Tag won't work on him because his level's too high. But like Warrior Returning Alive can recycle him. You can use Spell Striker to summon this guy faster. Special Summon Spell Striker, tribute summon this guy first turn, and try to hope his attack will go at least to 31 or probably around like 29. But this guy, I ain't gonna say he's entirely bad, but he's pretty good. He's one of those old cards that people don't really pay any attention to. He's ultra rare. He's never had any reprint. You just tribute, summon, and hope his attack goes up a little bit more. Alright, card number 2, Lava Golem. Lava Golem he is not underappreciated, he's just not used outside of burn decks that much. So I would say he's underappreciated outside of a burn deck. His potential is very, very great outside of a burn deck. He has several different uses. For one, his summon cannot be stopped. He will definitely get rid of 2 of your opponent's monsters, no matter what. Yes, you can bottomless him, negate his summon, or put him back in the hand, but ultimately, he will always rid your opponent of 2 of their monsters for free, easily. If your opponent gets rid of him, that's good for you because now they're open for a direct attack. You got rid of only their 2 monsters. This guy is one of very few monsters in the game that can actually get rid of Venomanaga. Reason being is that, now people pay attention to me now. Don't drift off and ignore me, or kind of not listen to what I'm saying here. Tributing is not an effect. It's an action. So tributing via Lava Golem and Volcanic Queen can kill Venomanaga because she says she's unaffected and cannot be targeted by card effects. Tributing is not an effect. It's an action. Yes, it's written on this card's effect, but I'm sure you people have heard that certain parts of monsters' effects are not considered to be effects, like conditions and restrictions and costs are not effects. Also, what Lava Golem does is the person who controls them takes 1,000 life points during each of the controller's standby phases. If your opponent has exactly 1,000 life points left and you can't seem to touch their life points, like I said in my previous videos, why not burn the last bit of life points they have left? Via give them a Lava Golem, Secret Barrel, Ceasefire them, whatever. But now as you can deal with this guy, he's not a big deal. With Magic Cylinder up to 2 and Gravity Bond up to 3, this guy is not a big deal to give him to your opponent. But Lava Golem is actually underappreciated outside of a burn deck. Visor Shock. I'm not sure if I already did this guy, but I did. Oh well, he got put in 2 videos, which means he's just this good. Visor Shock's effect is when this guy is summoned, he returns all face-down cards on the field to the owner's hands. He alone, by itself, can literally clean the whole field just by being summoned. You can combo Swords of Concealing Light and Book of Eclipse to literally return the whole field to the hand. Now, what makes this guy incredibly good is that his attack stat, 800, is very low. So he can be limit reversed. So he can be reused over and over and over again to simply clean the whole field up of face down monsters. I run this guy in my Evil Hero deck now because he literally does work. Yeah, he's only at 800, but he can get Dark Fused and then brought out later. He can be combined with Stygian Street Patrol. Stygian Street Patrol's effect is you can banish him from the graveyard. Well, this is his graveyard effect. You banish him while in the graveyard to special summon a 2,000 attack point or less fiend type monster from your hand. Well, being that Bother Strike is at 800, you can easily drop this guy to the field and clean up all the face downs, provided you play the Book of Eclipse first. So what I do in my Evil Hero deck is I play Book of Eclipse, summon this guy, and swing and clean for Dark Gaia. Dark Gaia just comes in there and just does what he has to do. And I'm running a new type of Evil Hero deck where Stygian Street Patrol helps summon the Fiend monsters from my hand without tributing them. Alright. Penguin Soldier. You cannot get more old school than this. I'm sorry guys, but I'm going to have to do a little bit of it. I'm going to have to talk about Penguin Soldier for a while. It's a level 2 Aqua monster with 750 attack, 500 defense. When it's flipped, it returns up to 2 monsters on the field to the owner's hand. This is the most badass old school card I've seen to date. I will actually start running this in my E-Hero decks, in my Hero base deck, sorry, since it's absolute zero material as well as being a field cleaner. He is one of very few monsters that people will expect to go against in a deck. I've seen many people, my friends, beat 6 Samurai decks because of this guy. I've seen many people beat Blackwing decks because of this guy. He just is something that you'll never expect to run into. He is very good and very underestimated. A lot of old cards back in the day are actually underestimated because people don't believe their effects are good enough anymore. They're not fast enough anymore. But as Penguin Soldier can aid you in beating the 6 Samurai deck because for some reason 6 Samurais like to play their hand out too fast, which is really idiotic. They deserve to get beat by a Penguin Soldier. I have 3 of these guys, and it's a shame that this thing is overlooked. I like him, which is why I have a set of them. And I'm going to throw them in the E-Hero deck, most likely Destiny Heroes and Evil Heroes, since all the heroes confused with water monsters to make absolute zero. But Penguin Soldier is going to get abused in my decks, because I'm going to keep benefiting from it. I'm going to use Shallow Graves to keep putting it face down, and I'm going to flip and keep returning your monsters that can get that instant field advantage, as well as swinging in freely directly. Penguin Soldier people should at least go on a side deck at 1 or 2, because you'll never know what deck you can go against that is slow at summoning, or is too fast for its own good. Penguin Soldier definitely helps with these situations. Now to the spells. Exchange. Now everyone's familiar with Exchange. It's a very old card, and like I assume, old cards get underused and underappreciated because people have found something that is quote unquote better than the cards that you see in this video. Exchange basically says both players swap cards in each other's hands, but both players get to see each other's hands. Now you'd be like, well, why would you show your opponent what your hand is? Well, being that you have control over Exchange to whether you play it or not, all you have to do is literally put everything out your hand that you don't want your opponent to have, and leave one crappy card they can't use. They use Exchange. They're forced to get the only card in your hand, and then you can get one badass card from their hand. Just like the picture shows, someone took the head of Exodia and Regaiki. So, I'm assuming that the guy who took those 2 cards only had 1 card in their hand to show. The picture is not being very clear, but the card itself is pretty much telling you how to use it. I will have Element the Hero Neos in my hand, and I'm going to use Exchange. You get my Neos, which you can't use, by the way, and I get to get your Dark Arm Dragon, which I can use, since there are Dark Heroes. Exchange needs to see further play. In a lot of decks of today, you can simply take 1 card out of your opponent's hand and throw their whole entire deck off balance. Like, let's say you're playing against a 6 Samurai deck. I'll take your Kizan, I'll take your Kajmusha, or I'll take your Elder, and thus slow you down for that turn. And then I can Synchro now, or I can have that 1800 beat stick. Exchange has many uses, but don't let me be the reason why you use it. Please, don't let the meta tell you what to do. Not every card is bad if it's not meta. I mean, if it's not meta. So, Exchange is not meta, but please, people, take the time to read these cards and figure out what works for you. Card instruction. It's now card destruction is a very iffy card. It's good. It's very, very good, but only during the first couple turns of the game. Later on during the game, it's only good if you can keep a lot of cards in your hand and your opponent has a lot of cards in their hand. What makes card destruction incredibly good is the fact that if you draw it on the first turn, your opponent's entire first turn hand is fucked. You can't get any more ignorant than that by saying you like your hand and they say yeah. And they'll say now dump it away. The only deck that card destruction will be bad against is Dark Worlds because you will get fucked. But that's pretty much all I can say about card destruction. It's just a good first couple turn draw so you can mess your opponent's first turn strategy up. But since you control if you want to play this card or not, the benefits is always on your side. Now, let me talk about this shit. XYZ Veil. Why isn't this card being used? XYZs get a badass support card, but yeah, I don't see people using this. For all you people out there that can't see this, or for all you people out there that doesn't know what XYZ Veil does, let me read it to you. Face-up XYZ monsters with XYZ materials cannot be targeted by card effects. OMG. Like, oh my gosh. Like, really? Like, really? No one is using a card that protects XYZs like this. You already have Utopian Aura that says detach XYZ material and all XYZ monsters you control can't be destroyed by card effects. Comboed with XYZ Veil, they're completely immune this whole turn. And the only way you can kill them is by battle. So I don't understand why XYZ Veil is not at least being tried out. I'm sure someone already has tried, but since it's not in meta, it's giving a lot of people all the more reason to not try it. If I can get enough XYZs to make a swarm deck of XYZ Swarm, this card and Utopian Aura is definitely getting mained in the deck. I'm going to use Imperial Customs so you can't destroy my continuous track cards, and my XYZs will literally be banging you in the face, and you're going to take it like the man or woman you are. I'm sorry, people, but the XYZs have badass support cards right now, and no one is really trying to take advantage of them. Alright, Paradox Fusion. Again, I don't know if I did this card already in the video, but this card is also badass. Now, as you notice, it's a counter trap, and I love counter trap cards. It's one of my favorite trap cards in the game. Paradox Fusion says you banish one fusion monster, face-up fusion monster you control to negate the special summon or spell attack card your opponent uses, and negate it and destroy it. You get your banished fusion monster back during the second end phase after this card's activation. Now, no, during your second end phase, not afterwards. So whatever turn you use it on, whatever of your turns you use it on, it counts your first end phase, and then the next turn is your second, so you get it back technically the turn after you used it, if it's your turn when you use it. The best fusion monster by far to use this card on is, hands down, without a shadow of a doubt, which will win my vote, and I'm sure everyone else's, is E-Hero Absolute Zero. You are always getting a +2 if you use Paradox Fusion on Absolute Zero. If your opponent activates a spell or track card, you activate Paradox Fusion. You banish 0, negate and destroy the spell or track card, and then 0, at the end, destroys all your opponent's monsters. You're always gaining a plus. Then 0 returns back to the field to start the process all over again. Paradox Fusion is the best counter trap support for fusion monsters I have ever seen. It's their solemn judgment in a sense. Next card, Horn of Heaven. For all those people out there that can't afford Solemn Judgment and Solemn Warning, me being one of them, oh yeah, let me get something off my chest, people. Every time you see a deck video of mine, please stop asking me, no Solemn, no Mirror Force, no D-Prison, no Warning. I don't have that stuff. I don't have the money to get the stuff, don't have the money cards to get this stuff, and I prefer really not to trade an arm and a leg just to get these cards, since people trade by price. I would rather use the cards that I have that are similar. Horn of Heaven is similar to Solemn Judgment. All you have to do, sorry for the flicking of the camera, all you have to do is tribute a monster to negate a summon. Okay, I'm not paying half my life points here. Yes, Solemn can negate spells and traps and summons, but I'd rather use Horn of Heaven to tribute a monster, use a monster that is, once it's tributed or leaves the field, it gets a plus effect, and then I can negate the summon. Summon Reborn Tengu. You summon a monster. Horn of Heaven. I tribute Reborn Tengu. Negate your monster effect. Oh, by the way, I don't have Reborn Tengu either. I'm just saying, I would like to have them, but apparently this is a top dollar card, so I can't get one. But as I was saying, tribute use Horn of Heaven to pay the cost, tribute one of my monsters. I tribute Reborn Tengu. Your monster's summon is negated and destroyed. Reborn Tengu's effect activates. Since it was removed from the field, I get another one. I lost nothing. So therefore, Horn of Heaven became a free of charge card. I negated your summon for free. Use Sangan. I get a monster in place of it. Tribute 0. Destroy all your monsters afterwards. Use what's his name? Goblin Zombie. Same thing. Horn of Heaven has its uses. So people, please give Horn of Heaven a shot. Last card, but not least, one of my favorite counter-attack cards towards burn damage, and the best one by far, is Barrel Behind the Door. This is the super rare one. Not the rare. It's the super rare. Barrel Behind the Door's effect is when a card effect would give you damage, you activate this card. It switches the damage to your opponent. Wait, what's the key word here? It switches the damage. It doesn't inflict. It doesn't make your opponent take. It just says it specifically says switch the damage, which means Prime Material can't do nothing about this effect. Burn cards that are not spell speed 3 that counter damage can't do nothing towards this card. And card effects that counter damage that says when you take damage or a damage is inflicted on you doesn't work on this card. Because Barrel Behind the Door does not say you take damage or you inflict damage to your opponent. It just says switch the damage to your opponent. Your opponent is literally not being inflicted with anything. They're just saying, I don't have damage done to me. I'm going to switch what I would take to you. Therefore, the card is just swapping the damage around. Nothing is inflicted. Alright, Yu-Gi-Oh! These are my 10 unappreciated cards of today. Look forward to part 4. I'll be talking about some pretty decent commons in part 4. Alright, fellas. Everybody take care. Peace out.